Hey guys, I've got a brand new video for you this morning. So my back's feeling quite achy. I haven't really moved much over the weekend, so I thought I'd do quite a gentle class for you today, and just trying to encourage as much mobility into your spine, get your spine moving so that you feel really good at the end of this session. So quite a gentle class. Let me just readjust this slightly so you can see more of my body. Right, so we're going to start this in standing. So let's just stand with your feet roughly hip width apart. Your feet should be quite parallel to each other. Okay, and then lift your toes and give them a good wiggle around. Just get your toes moving a little bit. And then spread your toes out nice and wide as you place them down into the floor. So you want to press down into your big toes, keep that pressure, and then also press down into your little toes as well. It's going to help to open out your knees, open out your hips, just millimeters, but it makes all the difference from your alignment from the ground up. So nice and soft at your knees, you're not locked through. And then coming up to your pelvis, we'll get it into neutral. So having a little tip back and forth with your pelvis. So tucking your tailbone under and then sticking it out behind you. Just isolate just your pelvis and make that movement smaller and smaller until you settle round about the middle. So holding your pelvis there, relaxing your arms at your sides, holding your abdominals, just about that 30%, just get your core switching on. Okay, so we're going to start with a few shoulder rolls. Let's start on your right arm. So let's bring that right shoulder forwards, up to your ear, slide that shoulder back, and then down. So we're coming forwards, up, back, and down. So nice big circles with that shoulder. So just let your arm just hang really loose at your side. Soften your fingers, soften through your hand. Just keep the rest of your body still. We're just focusing just here around your shoulder. Warming up all these muscles. So you can imagine that your shoulder was tracing around a little clock face. Okay, so what you want to try and do is hit all of the numbers on that clock. Get that full range of motion into that shoulder joint. Okay, so some areas might feel a bit tight and sticky. Maybe you struggle to get your shoulder on some of the numbers, but hopefully we will loosen those muscles off. Okay, we'll do 2 more this way. And then we're going to change direction. So when you're ready, bring that shoulder back, up, forwards and down. Softening your hand, your elbows just relaxed at your side. So it's not your arm that's moving, it's all coming from your shoulder. Got a few clunks going on in my shoulder this morning. So it's good, just embrace the clunks. Means things are moving. It's getting a bit smoother now, so hopefully your circle's feeling a bit rounder, maybe a bit bigger. We'll just do 2 more. Okay, give that shoulder a shake off. Just take that moment just to pause and compare how your right side feels compared to your left shoulder. So my left shoulder feels just a lot tighter. This one feels a little bit lower down, a bit more open, and feels a bit more free. Okay, so on to the other side. Let's bring that shoulder forwards, up, back and down. Softening your elbow. Let your arm just hang heavy at your side. It's all about your shoulder. Feel every part of that movement. Nice steady breath. So we're keeping, from the waist down, we're holding your alignment, so your pelvis is still in neutral. You're still softening your knees and spreading your weight around the edges of your feet. And just try and keep your other shoulder still. Try not to move your upper body. Tracing around that clock face, try and hit all of the numbers, and you'll probably feel tighter on one side, which is normal. So 2 more this way. And then we'll change direction. So bringing that shoulder back, up, forwards and down. So make sure you've got some nice music on in the background. Just take this time for you. Maybe light a candle. Just making your little space nice and cozy. So you can just switch off and just focus on your body for the next 45 minutes or so. Okay, we'll do 2 more so that shoulder's just feeling a lot more open now, a lot more free and smooth. Okay, just give both shoulders a little shake off. Good. Okay, so we're still in alignment from the waist down, holding in your abdominals, and now we'll inhale, we'll lift your shoulders, shrug them up. As you exhale, sigh out. Let your shoulders relax and melt away. And again, inhale, shrug your shoulders, attach your helium balloons, one on each ear, so feel those helium balloons pulling you up. Exhale as you melt your shoulders down, and now lengthen into your spine, into the back of your neck. We'll do that again. Inhale, lift your shoulders. Exhale, melt them down, lengthen through your spine and neck, tucking in your chin. Inhale, lift up your ribs as well now. Keep your rib cage lifted. Exhale, melt your shoulders, lengthen through. And again, inhale, lifting your ribs a bit higher. Keep them lifted. Exhale, melt your shoulders and lengthen upwards. So from your shoulders, we're going to rotate them outwards so that your palms face the front. Just feel those shoulder blades flatten right into the back of your ribs. Elastoplast them into place and we'll melt your arms at your sides. So taking a breath in, float your arms up. As you exhale, draw your arms down, lengthen your spine a bit more. So really feel those helium balloons pulling you up. Keep that going. So inhale to lift your arms just up to shoulder height. Exhale, melt your shoulder blades down, lengthen through. So your arms just feel really floaty. Let your hands just relax. Inhale to lift. Exhale, draw your arms in. Now slide those shoulder blades right down towards your back pockets. Feel those helium balloons pulling you up. So just try and get as much length into your spine. Feel this move into your back muscles. Okay, so just try and draw those back muscles right down towards your bottom. Pulling them down, activate those big back muscles. We'll just do 2 more. Try and lengthen your spine a bit more each time. Your knees are still soft. 1 more move. Inhale. Exhale, draw your arms down, lengthen, lengthen. One end of your spine is pulling away from the other. And then have a little shake out there, guys. Good. Shaking off your legs. Okay, we're going to take it down onto the mat now. So you've got your mat and a little pillow. Now, if you've got one of these long yoga mats, you can just tuck it under at the bottom just to make your mat a little bit shorter. Or just make sure your bum is right down near the bottom of your mat. Because we're going to start with some heel slides. Okey-doke. So you can see my bum's right at the bottom of my mat. I've just tucked under this long yoga mat. My legs are bent and my feet are actually on the floor. If you're on a carpet, you might want to take your socks off. Okay, if you're on a hard floor, then having your socks on just helps to make your feet nice and slidey. Okey-doke. So we'll get back into alignment first. So getting your pillow just at the base of your head. Let your chin tuck in to your collarbone. Relax your arms out at your sides. Palms facing up and just slide your arms out. Feel your shoulder blades just sink and relax into your mat. Take a nice deep breath in. Feel your ribs open out. As you breathe out, soften the back of your ribs. Let the back of your rib cage sink and melt into your mat. So if you were lying on nice hot sand, your rib cage would be leaving an imprint in the sand, especially those last few bottom ribs in the back of your rib cage. Just do that again, breathing in. Exhale, just soften and relax your ribs, let them sink heavier into that sand. Good, so breathing in again. As you breathe out, relax your hips, let your hips sink heavy into your mat, and make sure you feel even across the back of your hips. So as much weight going through your right side as you do your left. Okay, and your feet and knees are just hip width apart. You should have as much weight going through your toes as you do your heels. So just try and get your feet in a comfortable position away from your body. And then we'll get your pelvis into neutral again. So having a little tip back and forth with your pelvis. So feel your lower spine press down into the sand, and then feel it lift and arch away. And just make that movement smaller and smaller until you settle round about the middle. So we're keeping that natural lumbar curve that you have there at your lower back. Okay, not pressing down too heavily through your lower spine. So now we're back in neutral. Let's go through your breathing. Okay, so we're going to try and direct your breath just into the sides of your rib cage. Keep your breath out of your abdomen and use the sides of your body. So let's inhale, taking your breath into the sides of your rib cage. Feel your ribs open and away from each other. As you exhale, draw your ribs in together. So pull each side into the middle across your upper body. Doing that again. So inhale, exhale, tighten your ribs together, pulling across your upper body. Inhale when you're ready. Exhale, tighten your ribs in, tighten your tummy muscles, draw your belly button to your spine. Inhale, exhale, tighten your ribs, your abdominals, and try to pull across the front of your hip bones now, as if your hip bones could slide in together. Do that again. So breathing in, just a normal size breath. Exhale, draw your ribs in, your tummy muscles, and draw across your hip bones. Feel your pelvic floor muscles naturally lift, but give them an extra scoop up. And both men and women have pelvic floors. It's just the base of that big cylinder of muscles within your torso. So we're going to put that all together now. So let's inhale. As you exhale, lace up your corset now. So draw your ribs in, abdominals, squeeze across your hip bones, lift your pelvic floor. And just take a few breaths in your own time. So just imagine that big cylinder of muscles expanding on your inhale. Let that cylinder tighten into your spine as you exhale. And the rest of your body's relaxed, so arms and legs are soft. Let your shoulders and your hips just melt into your mat. Just send all the tension just to your core muscles. Guys, we're going to start with our heel slides. So in a moment, what we're going to do is just slide one foot away from you, letting your leg begin to straighten away from your body. So keeping your foot on the floor, and then we're going to slide your heel back in towards you, back into your starting point. Okay, I've got my big slipper socks on this morning because it's quite chilly. Weather's definitely turning. Okie doke, so trying to not let your pelvis move is your goal with these heel slides. It's a very much a less is more move. So I'll talk you through it. So let's inhale to prepare. So let your ribs open out. As you exhale, lace up your corset. So ribs, abdominals, squeeze in your hip bones in together. And let's slowly begin to slide your right heel away from your body. So let your foot just slide along the floor. Hold on to your corset. Keep breathing into the sides of your ribs. Good. Keep your corset fully laced up until your leg is fairly straight. Your knee will just be a little bit soft at the end. Pause and inhale. Exhale, relace your corset. So ribs, abdominals, pull across your hip bones, and then slowly begin to slide your heel back in towards your body. Little sips of breath to keep you going until that foot comes back in. We're going to change legs. So inhale. Exhale, lace in your corset first, fully lift on your pelvic floor. And just focus on your pelvis now. So as your left foot slides away from you, just try not to let your pelvis move. You're using your core muscles to really try and keep your pelvis as still as you can, not letting it tip to the side as that leg straightens. Pause and inhale. Exhale, release across and let your leg relax. So just switch off your thigh muscles, okay? Engage with your corset and just drag your heel in so your leg feels really heavy. Switch off those leg muscles. Tighten across your corset. Let your heel be dragged back in by your core. Good. Changing legs, so inhale, exhale, lace across. Hold on to your pelvis. Imagine that cylinder just tightening in around your pelvis to hold it still as your heel straightens out. Still relaxing your leg quite a bit. Just keep reminding your leg muscles to switch off. Pause and inhale. Exhale to release. Imagine a piece of string from your thigh tied onto your abdominals so that when you pull your muscles in towards your centre, it's really your core that's pulling your leg back in towards you. Good, just let your heel drag back in. I'll just let you do a few on your own. So making sure you're not moving until you've got your corset fully laced up. So you're getting the most out of your move, really getting into those deeper core muscles. Letting your shoulders stay heavy in the sand. Try not to tense your upper body. Good. Soften into your collarbone. Let's do one more move. Okay, good. So when you're finished your last one, we're going to add in the arms now. So we're going to bring your arms all the way up, so your fingers are pointing up to the ceiling, your palms are facing into each other. So really straighten your arms out, let your elbows lock through, and then soften your elbows just a little bit so they're not locked out anymore. And then let your shoulder blades melt back into your mat without your elbows bending too much. Okay, so elbows are just soft. Your arms will just slightly widen than shoulder width apart to allow your shoulder blades to just sink heavy into that sand beneath you. So chin's tucked in, take a deep breath in. As you breathe out, soften the back of your rib cage. Just let those last few bottom ribs just imprint into that sand. Okay, we're going to do opposite leg and arm, taking the arm behind you. So let's inhale, exhale, lace in your corset. Ribs, abdominals, squeeze in your hip bones. As one leg slides away, let's float your opposite arm back behind you. And we're just going to take it back about halfway to the floor. So you're trying to hold your shoulder blade down and keep the back of those ribs imprinting in the sand. Pause and inhale. Exhale, release your corset, let your thigh relax, relax your hand, drag your heel in, draw your arm up. So squeeze your ribs together, squeeze across your hip bones. Change arms and legs, so inhale, exhale, lacing across, hold your pelvis steady as your leg straightens. Try not to let your ribs lift as your arm floats back. So press down on those last few bottom ribs even more. Pause and inhale, exhale, lace across, keep pressing down on your ribs, soften your thigh and your arm. Drag your leg in, float your arm up. So drawing across your ribs, across your abdominals, across your hip bones. Keep that going in your own time. So just check you're still tucking in your chin, keeping that lovely length through your neck and your upper spine. It also helps to hold your ribs in place. So your arms just feel really weightless. Your shoulders are heavy in the sand, but you're not bending your elbows too much, they're just slightly soft. Okay, let's do one more move. Just take your time on this last one. Good, lovely guys. So when you're ready, just hug your knees, bring them right up into your chest, hold behind your thighs, feel your lower spine, just press down into the sand. Have a gentle rock from side to side. So keep your head on your pillow, but tuck in your chin a bit more. Just helps to give you a nice back stretch. You can think about keeping your shoulders where they are, but as you rock from side to side, just trying to inch the back of your hips a bit further to the bottom of your mat, stretching into your upper back. Okay, good. So just take your knees roughly above your hips, let your lower legs just dangle. We're going to take both hands, just spread your fingers out and place your fingers just around the edges of your kneecaps. We're going to do some little hip circles, some knee circles. So we're going to bring both knees, just guide them up towards your head, take your knees away from each other, round and down to the bottom of your mat, and then hug them back in again. So just imagine that your knees are tracing little halos above them. Just taking your knees and guiding them around that halo in small circles. So let the back of your hips just soften with this move, okay? So try not to grip on through your hips. You want to just let the weight of your thigh bone just sink heavy into your hip sockets as we warm up those muscles there. Okay, so just letting your pelvis move and rock with the weight of your legs as they circle round. Try and get your circles nice and smooth and round. We'll do two more this way, and then we'll change direction. So taking your knees down towards the bottom of the mat, circle them away from each other up to your chest, and then back down again. So other direction. Just use your hands to guide your knees around, but don't, press onto your knees. Just have your fingertips just resting on the outsides of your kneecaps. Let's do two more circles. Good. Hug your knees in again. Keep your right knee hugged in, and we're going to press into your lower back. Straighten your left leg on the floor. Let your foot relax out, and then slide your heel out to the side. So right knee's hugged in, just taking that left leg out to the side, but you're really pressing down really firmly through your lower spine. So your lower spine is leaving an imprint in the sand. Hold it here and just breathe into your stretch. So try and soften and relax across the front of your hip into your straight leg. Just opening through your hip flexors. So push the back of your hips firmly in the sand. You can open your right knee just a few inches away from you. It just helps to open across your left hip a bit more. Breathe in deeply. Give your glutes a good squeeze on the left. Just hold that, keep relaxing out your foot. And relax here, guys. Slide your left leg in. Bring that knee into your chest. Have a gentle rock from side to side. And then we'll keep your left knee hugged in. We'll straighten your right leg. Pressing your lower spine in the sand. Let your foot flop out. Slide your heel out to the side a little. Holding it there, so keep that left knee hugged in tightly. Breathe into your stretch. So just as you exhale, let your hip just soften a bit more. Soften your thigh. Pressing the back of your hips in the sand. You can open that left knee a little away from your body, but try not to let the back of your hips lift. Giving your glutes a good squeeze. Squeeze your right bum cheek and just hold that there. relax there, guys. Good, slide that leg in. We'll take your feet down one at a time. So bent legs, feet on the floor. We're going to progress with our heel slides. Take this, move a bit further. So feet hip width apart. Get your pelvis into neutral. Tip back and forth. Find your neutral pelvis. So make sure your lower back isn't pressing down too much. Keep that natural curve that you have at your lumbar spine. Okie doke. So bringing your arms up again. Relax your elbows a little. Melt your shoulder blades back in the sand. Tuck in your chin. Take a deep breath in. Exhale. Soften the back of your ribs. Sink them a bit heavier. Let them melt into that sand. Okay. So let's inhale. Exhale. Lacing across your corset, ribs, abdominals. Squeeze across your hip bones. Opposite leg and arm. Let's straighten your leg away. Hold your pelvis steady. Let that arm float back just halfway to the floor. Keep your shoulder blade down and press into your ribs. We're going to keep this arm and leg where it is. Inhale. Exhale. Lace up your corset. Let's take your other leg away and float your other arm back. So now you're going to end up with both legs out straight and both arms back behind you. So making sure that space hasn't gotten bigger at your lower back and that you're really pressing down on those last few bottom ribs. Inhale, exhale, lace across, ribs, abdominals across your hip bones. Relax your arms and your legs. So we're going to drag both heels in together. Float both arms up, pulling down on your tummy muscles. Good. Keeping that going. So lacing your corset, starting with your opposite arm and leg. Good. Keeping that arm and leg where it is. Lacing your corset. Take your second leg out, your second arm back. And you want to try and pull your pelvis back into neutral so your lower back doesn't arch up too much. Inhale, exhale, lace across. Now soften your thighs and your arms. So tighten your ribs, abdominals, your hip bones. Drag your heels in using your core. Float your arms up. I'll let you do a couple on your own. Make this your last move now. Just tighten up your corset as tightly as you can on that last one. Bring your knees to your chest just when you're finished. So a gentle rock side to side, relax into your back. Let's take your knees around in a circle. Do a few one way. And then the other. Okay guys, good. So let's take both feet back down. So we're finished with your heel slides. If you do prefer to have your feet back on the mat, then you can readjust yourself. We're going to move into some shoulder bridges now. So for this one, let's remove your pillow from behind your head. Keep your feet hip width apart, but walk your heels just a bit closer into your bum. Ground into your four corners of each foot. Arms relax at your sides. Let your shoulders and ribs melt into the sand. And you want to tuck your chin a bit more to your collarbone so that your neck is nice and lengthened. Okay, let's get some movement into our spines. So let's inhale. Exhale, lace across, and now press your lower spine down into your mat. So tip your pelvis all the way back, giving your glutes a little squeeze as you hold it there. And then as you inhale, roll your pelvis slowly forwards into neutral again. Keep that going. So exhale, lace across, tipping back, squeezing your glutes, pressing your lower spine firmly down into your mat. And then inhale as you roll forwards to neutral. Just keep that going in your own breath. So exhale to tip back, hold in there, pressing down firmly, and then inhale to roll forwards. Okay, so soften your collarbone and your shoulders. Just keep lifting on your pelvic floor, using your corset to control this very small move. Just want to feel those notches in your lower spine just rolling back and forth along your mat. This might feel like quite a nice stretch if your back's feeling quite tight, which mine is. This feels really good. Now, as you tip your pelvis back, as you hold your lower back into the mat, lengthen the back of your neck towards the top of your mat. So let your chin tuck in. Hold it there and then inhale to relax to neutral. So I want you just to feel a really nice stretch right from the back of your neck down to your tailbone, as if your spine is pulling away from one end to the other. Keep lengthening your neck even more each time, really tucking your chin, and slide the back of your neck right up towards the top of your mat. So your tailbone is just lifting as your pelvis rocks back, but your ribs are staying down. Let's do 2 more. Guys, lovely. So we're going to lift up into the full bridge this time. Just take this bridge as high as you feel comfortable. You can always stay nice and low, just with our little tilts like we just did. Make sure your heels are comfortably close enough. Okay, and if you want to have a hamstring stretch, just pause the video just now. Take it into a hamstring stretch with your band or scarf first. Okay, I'm going to go straight into the bridge for myself, but do feel free to stretch through your hamstrings if you want to before you take it into your bridge, if you're quite prone to cramp in your legs and your hamstrings. Okay, so let's inhale. Exhale, lace across. So same move, let your pelvis tip back. Press your lower spine, squeeze your glutes, lengthen your neck, and continue to peel your spine up. So you're going to lift your hips, just let your spine lift just one vertebra at a time. As your hips lift, lengthen your neck a bit further away from you. Press into your big toes, ground through your feet. So at the top, press your hips up, but keep your rib cage down. Okay, so everything will just lock into place. Inhale, exhale, lace across and soften through your neck, the back of your ribs. Let your spine roll back down onto the mat, working from the top to the bottom. So keep your pelvis tipped all the way back. Feel each notch come down one by one. So you want to imprint the waistband of your trousers into the sand first, then feel those last few notches roll back down one by one, right at the very end. So you want to feel the whole of your spine, your vertebrae, you want to feel the whole of your vertebrae just having contact with the mat, each part of your vertebrae touching the mat at some point. Keep that going, so lacing up, peeling your spine away, lengthening through the back of your neck. Make sure you're still grounding through your feet. Just feel that contact with the floor. Stretching your knees away from you at the top, hips are lifted, ribs are down. Lace your corset again, let your spine roll back down, one vertebra at a time. Keep your chin tucked in. Keep your corset laced up to help you. Just try and encourage a bit more movement into your spine. each time you do this move. So you want to really try and curl and move your spine as much as you can, getting the blood flowing, stretching all the muscles, mobilizing through your spine. It should feel really good. Okay, so now as you roll out of the bridge, see if you can lay the back of your hips a little bit further towards your heels. So as your hips approach the mat, try and send the back of your hips a little bit further to the bottom of your mat. Just get that space really opening up into your lower spine. So our lumbar spine is the least mobile part of our spine, so we just want to encourage as much movement as we can there. If you're feeling this in the hamstrings quite a bit, try and bring your heels, walk them a bit closer to your body, or you can pause the video, just take it into a bit of a stretch, a hamstring stretch, using a band or a scarf. Let's do one more move. Good. You can place your pillow back behind you. Just bring your knees up to your chest, have a little rock from side to side. So your knees might feel a bit closer to your chest now. We've just kind of opened up all those spaces through your vertebrae and lengthen into your lower back especially. Good. So let's take your feet down one at a time. Bent legs. We're just going to bring your feet and knees in together. So feet are touching, knees are touching. And just have your arms relaxed out at your sides, okay? Just anywhere that feels comfortable. We're going to let your knees drop down to one side, down to the floor. Gently pull them up to the middle and then drop them down to the other side. Good. Just keep that going. So we're going to do some little window wipers with your knees. I'm just going to move over a little bit. Okay, so you can pick up the tempo with this one. Just encouraging some lovely movement again through your hips, but also just getting some rotation into your spine, which is very good for you. Okay, so if your back's feeling niggly, guys, then just keep it nice and slow and controlled. Just be careful, listen to your body, but if you want to increase the tempo, then do that. Just giving your lower back a nice little massage on the floor as well. And just notice how you feel around your hips, if you maybe feel quite tight, maybe just on one side. How close your knees get down to the floor, maybe they get closer on one side than the other. If you're feeling this into your back or into your ribs. So when I do this move, I can feel my spine kind of popping a little bit, roughly down my mid-back, which is where I have a lot of tightness. So it's just really nice to kind of rotate into your spine. Get your spine moving across all those different planes of movement. Let's do one more to each side. Bringing your knees back to the middle. Okay, so we're going to hold the stretch this time. So you can either just keep your feet and knees together, or you can cross your right leg over your left leg, keeping your knees close together if you do cross them over. So stretch your arms out at your sides, line them up in with, line your arms in line with your shoulders. If you're struggling for space, bend your elbows into a little box shape like this. And then let both knees just drop to your left hand side down to the floor. Turn your head over to your right hand. Pull your right shoulder blade gently down into the mat. And we're just going to hold this stretch. So if this feels too much with your legs crossed, you can just go back to the middle, bring your feet and knees together instead, and then take them over, like what we just did. We're going to hold it now. So soften into your pelvis and your hips. So we're anchoring down on that right shoulder and your left hip. So just let that hip sink heavy into the mat. Take some deep breaths. Breathe into the tension wherever you feel it. As you breathe out, let that tension just soften away. We're going to hold it for a bit longer, so just keep breathing. That tension might move, it might change. So just follow the tension, keep taking your deep breaths. Let that tension ease away a bit more on every exhale. Good. Draw in your tummy muscles. Press your lower back into the floor. Gently push your knees to the middle. Uncross your legs. And then I just want you to pause there. Just take a moment just to compare how you feel down that right side of your body now compared to your left. So even if you didn't feel much of a stretch, that right side might feel just a bit more open, a bit longer, a bit more free and loosened off compared to the left side of your body. Good, so just strengthening that mind and body connection, noticing how you feel. So we'll do the other side. We'll cross your left leg over, or just keep your feet and knees in together. Let your knees slowly and gently drop to your right, turning your head to your left hand. Now we want to anchor down on your left shoulder, so gently pull your left shoulder blade into your mat. And just give your hips permission to relax. So if you're gripping onto any tension around your hips, soften those muscles. Just do that a bit more every time you exhale. Just a few more seconds here, guys. Just keep breathing. It really makes all the difference when you really hold your stretches, and you'll even just feel that tension move, move places as your muscles begin to really lengthen and loosen off. So draw in your tummy muscles, press your lower back into the mat, bring your knees gently up to the middle. Uncross your legs. Okay, so now your body feels nice and lengthened down on both sides. Let's take both legs out straight, one at a time. Take your arms overhead, stretch it out, lift up your ribs, point your toes away from you. Get a good stretch across your tummy muscles. Point your toes, point your fingers. And relax there. Good. We're going to roll onto your side. Push yourself up onto one hip. we're going to make it over onto the hands and the knees. We're going to do about 4 point to finish. Okay guys, if you're not good on your hands and knees this morning, you can take it right down onto your belly with your legs out straight into prone and just have your arms in a little W position. When you get down, just resting your forehead on the edge of your pillow. If you are okay on your hands and your knees, let's take it onto all fours. Get your knees under your hips, knees hip width apart, hands under your shoulders, but just slightly wider towards the edge of your mat more. Spread your fingers nice and wide, make sure your middle finger is pointing towards the top of the mat. Okay, and you want to make sure that you're not doing this. You're not leaning back into your knees. Bring yourself forwards. So do some little circles here. So you're taking your weight back into your knees, circling round and forwards into your hands. Make that circle smaller and smaller until you feel like you've settled in the middle and you have an even spread of weight across your hands and your knees across all 4 points, and your weight is centered right in the middle. So soften your elbows a little bit, they're not locked through. You want to slide your shoulders away from your ears and let your neck really lengthen. You're looking down to the floor, but your neck is lifted and your chin is tucked in. And lengthen the back of your neck right towards the top of the mat. Draw your tummy muscles in, so your lower back isn't dipping down. Draw your navel to your spine, push up into your lower back. Okie doke. So we're going to start with some little cat paws. So we're going to inhale. As you exhale, lace up your corset, ribs, abdominals across your hip bones. We're going to lift one hand away from the floor. Bend your elbow. Just cup that hand into your body. Inhale to press your hand back down. So exhale, lace your corset, lift your other hand away, but keep your weight centered. Inhale to lower. Good, so exhale, lacing your corset, lifting one hand off the floor, and then inhale to lower. So you want to think about your alignment as your hand lifts. Try not to let your weight transfer back into your knees. Keep your weight centered. Keep your neck lengthened. And your shoulder blades are nice and elastoplacid against your rib cage. So your goal here is to lace up your corset as tight as you can as your hand lifts off the floor, to try and keep your weight centered and not letting your weight transfer into one side of your body more than the other as that hand lifts off the floor. Good, so if you imagined a table and then you took one of the legs away, what you're trying to do is use your core muscles to not let that table tip or move. Okay, so squeeze your ribs in, squeeze across your hip bones. Try and keep both knees feeling really even on the floor, not letting more weight transfer into one knee than the other. And the tighter you lace your corset, the more you will do that. Okay, let's just do a few more on each side. Lovely guys, one more. And then we're going to sit back onto your ankles into child pose. Just bring your knees a bit closer together. Send your bum back. Take your arms forwards. You can use a pillow here at your head. If you need to keep your toes on the mat, if you feel cramp creeping into your feet, just lift your toes up, but just send your bum right up to the ceiling into more of this puppy pose. You can take your knees a little bit wider for that one. So whatever you feel comfortable with for your back. Let your head and chest melt to the ground. Just breathe. So if your back's quite tight, you can always have your forearms just a bit closer in, elbows close in, and your forearms on the mat. You can also have your pillow, or you can just, take your fists, rest your head on those fists, just to lift your head a little bit if you're feeling this quite a bit into your back. And breathe nice and deeply into the back of your rib cage. So you want to let your breath expand into your ribs, really open up your thoracic area. Helps to open up your back muscles as well. And then as you breathe out, just soften your chest to the floor a bit more. Soften your neck and your shoulders. Okay guys, we're going to take it back onto your hands and your knees. We're going to finish with a nice mobility move for your spine and do a bit of cat-cow. So again, just make sure your knees and your hands are spread out so your spine is nice and long. Get your weight centered across those 4 points. Middle fingers pointing to the top of your mat. Okay, so we're going to inhale to prepare. As you exhale, tuck your tailbone under. So send your tailbone down to the floor. Let your back begin to arch up. So draw your belly button in, press your back up to the ceiling, and you're going to look down to your knees, and we're going to hold it in cat pose. Good, just take a deep breath at the top. Good, and then on your next inhale, send your tailbone up to the sky. Let your belly dip down. You're going to look forwards and try to press your chest through your arms without taking your weight forwards. So just stretch and open across your chest. Good, and then on your next exhale, start with your tailbone, tuck it under. Press your back up, draw your tummy muscles in. Look to your knees, stretch across and around your shoulders. Let your chin tuck all the way in. And we'll keep that going. So on your next inhale, let your belly drop, send your tailbone up. Looking forward, stretching your shoulder blades down away from your ears, pressing your chest forwards. So just a few more. So think about leading with your tailbone. Let your tailbone move first and then feel that wave of movement travel up your spine. And just keeping your weight centered, not sending your weight back into your knees too much. Just press your hands into the mat. Press your feet down. Let's do one more of each. This might feel like you've got a bit more movement now. You can hold your stretch or make it a bit bigger. And then send it back towards your ankles, back into child pose. Let your head rest down. So you might feel like your head's a bit closer to the floor now that we've helped to really stretch into your back muscles. So again, just take your arms where they feel comfortable. You can stretch them out a bit more if you want to. Push your bum back into your heels. Use a pillow. Take those lovely deep breaths. Let your ribs really open out. Okay, a little variation. Stretching your arms out in front of you. Keep your head down, but just walk your hands just a little bit further over to the left. Let your chest and head come with your arms a little bit as well. Let your head melt down. Press your bum into your heels, so feeling that stretch down that right side of your body. Good, and then walk your hands to the middle, and then we'll take them over to the right. Pressing your bum into your heels, let your head melt down. Good, taking it back to centre. Let's just widen your knees a little bit, keep your big toes together. Sit back on your heels, take your forearms down onto the floor and really let your chest melt down. So try and get a little dip through your upper spine, as if your chest is just melting down. Tuck in your chin and try and stretch your forehead and slide it towards the top of your mat. Okay, lovely guys, we're going to slowly bring it back up to standing. So just take your time on the hands and knees again. Tuck your toes under to get yourself ready. Walk your hands closer into your knees. Okay, and from here we're going to push back into your heels, but keep your legs bent when you get there. Okay, so we're going to push back, keep your knees bent, lift onto your thighs, have a slow roll back up. Let your head lift up last, ground into your feet. So you don't get dizzy and you're getting yourself up safely from the floor. My hair's all wild now. Okay guys, so have a little shake off when you get yourself up. Just give your shoulders a little circle through. Just do one way and then the other. Good. Okie doke. So we'll get back into alignment to finish. So with your feet hip width apart, feet parallel, lift your toes, spread them as wide as you can as you place them down. Press into your big toes and then into your little toes as well. Feel your knees open up and your hips slightly. Soft at your knees, not locking through. And your pelvis will get it back into neutral. So tip back and forth, find your centre. It should just easily slot into place now. Holding everything there. Relax your arms at your sides, holding your tummy muscles, that 30%. Let's inhale, lift your shoulders, shrug them up. As you exhale, melt them down. Feel your helium balloons pulling you up as you lengthen. We'll do that again. Inhale, lift your shoulders. Exhale, melt them down, lengthen through the back of your neck, so tucking in your chin. Inhale, lift your rib cage. Keep your ribs lifted. Exhale, melt your shoulders, lengthen through. And then rotate outwards from your shoulders. Feel your shoulder blades flatten into the back of your ribs. And then elastoplast them into place so they can't move as we rest your arms in at your sides. And lastly, without looking down, just feel the four corners of each foot. Make sure you spread your weight evenly across all four corners so that you feel balanced, you feel centered, and you feel grounded. Very well done, guys. Thank you so much. Hope you enjoyed that video, and I'll see you very soon for the next one. Have a lovely day. Bye.